So elves pretty much useless. Might as well not be in it. Real disappointment. And the puzzles and stuff, and the combat and the party and the setup for your party, all rubbish, all worse, much worse than the first game. The combat doesn't actually feel like the old Dragon's Dogma either. It had a weightiness to it, and in the pacing of the combat, how it moved and how let's say you were a fighter and how you deflected with your shield or stuff, or Mystic Knight or whatever it is. There was kind of like a really cool vibe to the combat and a cool pace to it, depending what classes you were. And in this one, the weightiness, and I mentioned the role in the first game, the weightiness of your character is just not there. The game actually doesn't feel as good to play as the first one. It doesn't at all. Yeah, I'm not feeling it. So in terms of atmosphere and vibe, in terms of love in the art style on the menus and the sounds and everything else, and Capcom were great for that, weren't they? The menus. I mean, you think about the original Devil May Cry menu. What great sounds that had. They were great for that. And you can tell games that are lovingly crafted with that love and passion that runs through it. It's like a stick of rock in it, you know. Yeah, if you're from the UK, you'll understand what I mean. It's got Blackpool all the way through it. It's like it's got Capcom all the way through it. Your Beautiful Joes, your Devil May Cries, your Dragon's Dogma ones, and this one, it's a really half-assed production that's been shat out, that runs poorly, it's not even fit to polish the disc of the first game. It's so poor. The legacy of the first game is so great, and this can't even touch it, and I haven't even finished talking about it yet. So stick with me for that. By the way, these are just my opinions based on my time that I've spent with both of them. And I did go, a decent way to kind of explaining my love and my passion for the first game. So, other things about this game were, I did start having fun with it, because it's called Dragon's Dogma, and because I wanted to like it. I wanted to kind of, it's Dragon's Dogma 2, it's here, I'm playing it. And so I went round, beating goblins and beating ogres and beating all this sort of stuff and doing a whole leveling up and all that kind of stuff. And as the structure of the game, and the world kind of unveiled itself to me in terms of how it works and what it is and the repetition of it, and the shallowness of the party structure and your own moves and stuff, and combat and everything else, and the whole feel of it. The more that sunk in, the more that shine of I'm really enjoying this is wearing a bit thin. And I got to the dragon at the end, of the sort of sunny version.
It cannot be denied.
And my love interest was in the hand of the dragon. Now, in the first game, when your love interest is with the dragon, there's quite a bit of a scene to do with your love interest, and they're chased by goblins, and they're on the floor in front of you, and you've got to make this choice and this decision, which, if you understand Dragon's Dogma, you'll know all about the choice. And in this game, my love interest was in the hand of the dragon, and the dragon mentioned something about her, and then she was irrelevant. There was no sort of scene, there was no big deal, there was no kind of emotional connection between my character and the love interest. One bit, she was in the hand of the dragon, and the dragon kind of mentioned about it, and the next minute they're completely irrelevant, and they're not even there, and I don't even know where they went or what happened to them. And after I beat the dragon, I went around looking for them, and they weren't even there. It's like the game just treated it as, yeah, that happened for a little bit. And it's like in the first game, there's a lot more to it than that. And you end up waking up in your own place in Casadis, with your love interest. And it's like the ending of that game with all the writing and the music is beautiful. It's beautiful. If I've remembered, it's, because I'm saying all these things without actually having put any of the videos together. But if I remembered to do it correctly, then you will have seen that in one of my other videos, because I have that, and I might have used it as an example. If I haven't bothered to put it in, then this bit of talking will be completely irrelevant. You'll be wondering what the heck I'm on about. But hopefully I've done that.
The flow of time,
and it's just like how much thought went into the first game. And you can see where I'm going when I say it feels like the developers didn't really care about the first game, because I don't understand why you would wait over 10 years to shit out Dragon's Dogma 2 and not give a toss about Dragon's Dogma. Why is that not part of it? Because it was certainly part of it with the Arisen's Bond and everything. There was, and it also with the Duke, and the Duke talking about, and how the Duke is in the first game, and the grief that he still has because of the dragon's bargain, and the ramifications of that, in the game in the first, and then there it is. There's your love interest in the hand of the dragon for a few seconds, and then it may never know mind. Might as well not been there. What was that about? Who gives a toss? Well, devs surely didn't. And as somebody who's got this great love and passion for the first game, I noticed that. Because I was sat here on my backside on my settee, with pad in my hand, having got slogged my way through the, encounter after encounter after encounter, every 5 flipping steps, with the shallowness of the party setup and the combat weighing heavily upon me, and the lack of enemy variety type, and the lack of actual thought in the. Let's talk about the dungeons, shall we? Let's talk about that. In the first game, there are not many.
I sense we shall
There are not many. And in this one, they're generic.
I have the same feeling.
They're completely generic. They want to give a nod to something like the Catacombs in the first game, but they're piss poor. There's not a lot of love and care that's gone into the atmosphere and vibe of them. There's certainly no puzzles to speak of, other than the ones that I've bitched about before. And they're a complete shadow of what they were in the first game. And then it goes back to my point. Bigger is not always better. More is not always better. If they're such of a substandard, but you put more of the generic damn things in, how is that better? I don't understand. I cannot understand. I've seen people who think this game is great, who think this game is game of the year, who absolutely love it. I've seen people who mention some kind of things like me. My daughter likes this game. I really don't. We are poles apart. We are poles apart on what we think about this game and why. And I've tried to talk about it before, but I've just run over time. I've probably run over time. I've noticed one of my videos is about 17 minutes, so I'm going to have to cut it up, and it might even go in this bit. I don't know. It's going to be a bit of an hodgepodge, but yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get why you'd wait that length of time and then just do this to a game that is so
The so-called
so
forbidden magic
brilliant
research lab appears to have been constructed
in how
quite
it
recently.
is, even
Indeed.
though it should
The
have been
researchers
bigger.
employed there are as tight-lipped as
You
they
know,
come,
when they
which
originally
is
did
all
it, the
very
original
secretive.
one. But
I wonder what the citizenry make of it.
as it stands, it works. It worked before the DLC for me, and then with the DLC, the bit of Black Isle, it works afterwards. But this one, I just don't know what they're gonna do, what plans they've got for any DLC. Because whatever DLC they put out for this, it's going to have to change how the game is structurally and how things work. And I just can't see it doing that, because they're going to have to rewrite so much of it. They'd have to do it anew. They'd have to do it anew. And they couldn't be bothered the first time round, so the DLC ain't going to save it, in my opinion. There's no saving this from its problems. Not as I see it. You'd have to sit down and do it properly, like you should have done the first blooming time. I think I am going to end up deleting this from my hard drive. Is there anything else I really want to talk about? The politics in this game, yeah. So in the first game, the politics and the conversations that you could have, and like I say, there's a lot of very generic NPCs in the first game. There's even more in the sequel, right? So is that an improvement? No, there's just more of it. There's more of the poor, really generic NPCs in this game. A lot more, because there are a lot more places to visit. And the quality of dialogue that you got in the first game, if you like me, if you took time to search them out, is not of the same level in this game. So there's a lot less love in that regard. There's a lot less thought in it. There's a lot less care in it. I think the story in this game's utter bobbins. I didn't get. It's like in the first game you start off at Casardis, and in this game you start off in a prison. And the first game, I have more connection to certain NPCs in Casardis, even though there's a, we talked about the generic one word ones, like no one knows what tomorrow may bring. Well, that's not going to endear you, is it? But there are certain characters in there who do have, like I say, different dialogue options at different times, and really cool personalities. But there's none of that here. None of that. I don't have any endearing connection to the prison or to the volcanic island where you started off. None at all. It's just all bobbins. It's piss poor. I've seen people describe this as like a remake of the first one. No, it's not. It's not. If the first one had any residue like of any excrement, this is the toilet paper that wiped it away. I have no love for this game. Like I say, it brings out quite strong emotions on me, and I wish Capcom had not released it. It is a real disservice to the first game. Absolutely.